This concludes our module on specification. In this module, you learned about the first step in crafting or drawing out your structural equation model. You learned about the importance of making sure that you have a recursive model, so a model that is unidirectional, that does not have feedback loops. And you also learned that it's okay to correlate arrow terms as long as it is not have a bow in it, that string. It needs to be a bow free if you're going to do that. You also learned about the importance of making sure that you're including other variables that the literature has identified as important to this research domain, so that you can make sure that you're not making the first most common error about leaving out critical variables when you are specifying your model. We also talked about different kinds of parameter estimates, free and constrained, as well as constant parameters and ways that you can make those. And then we talked about the different kinds of structural equation modelings and the kinds of research questions or hypotheses that can be asked for each of those, so that one, you can open up yourself to different kinds of questions and hypotheses to ask. So you can ask the question or hypothesis that's most appropriate for your research domain and the one that you're most interested in. And then you can also know how to draw out a model that fits your research questions or hypotheses. Next week, we're going to get into model identification, which is all about degrees of freedom. Your model that you draw out needs to have either 0 or positive numbers of degrees of freedom. Most preferably, we want to have positive numbers because that's when we're going to have a parsimonious model that is of most interest. You cannot have negative degrees of freedom. And that is essentially calculated by looking at the number of observations and the number of parameters. And we're going to get into that in the next module, how to calculate those. And you're going to do some of those not only am I going to show you multiple examples of how to do that, but that's something you're going to have to do in your lab as well. So I look forward to having you sign up for online labs. Keep in mind that your paper proposal is due coming up, and make sure you get that submitted on the due date.